James Kemp, and lieutenant, U.S. Navy. I stood bridge watches and worked in the Combat Direction Center. It's on a much larger scale than a destroyer, of course. The bridge is a little big, but the Combat Direction Center was actually designed to serve as the flagship for an entire fleet. So it was a much bigger deal with data systems and communications out the yin-yang that we never saw on a destroyer. We did port calls. This one was different. This was a forward deployed, I should have mentioned this, this is a forward deployed carrier out of Yokosuka, Japan. So this thing was underway all the time. We pulled into Sasebo, Japan. There was an ammunition place there. Hong Kong, Subic Bay, Philippines, Busan, Korea, Pattaya Beach, Thailand, Adelaide, Australia, Diego Garcia, little island in the Indian Ocean, and Mombasa, Kenya. We got around, and most of these places we saw more than once. I used to really like seeing what tours that were available, what I could take to go up in the country. So, you go up toward like Bangkok and in toward, I can't remember the name of the city right now, capital of the Philippines. Sample some of the culture, and it's very, thank you, Manila. Some of the food, and it's just, these in the US, we look at something that's 200 years old as old. And there they look at something that's 3,000 or 4,000 years old as old. And that just, culturally, it's just so interesting to get back into see some of the countryside. So here we are in Japan, and I haven't been there that long, but I'm not quite 7,000 miles from home, and it's like, it's a little lonely. It's, in the officers' club, there's some kind of a concert, a dance or something, and I'm just hanging out. And the 7th Fleet Swing Band, the power of music. The 7th Fleet Swing Band comes to town, and they play an instrumental version of Walking on Sunshine. And suddenly, to this day, whenever I hear that song, everything's fine. The power of music. I mentioned that Midway was very maneuverable. We would play with other fleet elements, sometimes other carrier task forces or task groups, right? And they'd try to find us, we'd try to find them. It'd be war games. And the thing about Midway was that it was small enough and maneuverable enough it could get into places where you really wouldn't want to take a bigger carrier. And so there was a place we called Midway Lake. This was an isolated little area of water, surrounded by islands, and it was set, the way it was, you could get in there, it made it very hard to find the ship. Because from any distance you couldn't see it, there were islands. The radar wouldn't pick it up because there were islands in the way, yet there'd be aircraft coming out of somewhere that would launch in on the opposing wargame force. And we never got tagged. We'd be hiding in Midway Lake. It was a lot of fun.